Welcome, everybody, to the 100-Year Lifestyle, where we are transforming health and longevity worldwide so that you and your loved ones can live at 100% for 100 years and beyond. And hey, let's celebrate this, navigate this rapidly changing healthcare landscape with a big congratulations to RFK Jr. for being confirmed as the new department head for the Health of Human Services. We are so excited about that. We have been supporters of Children's Health Defense for a really long time for a lot of reasons. We have been, for me, practicing chiropractor for 40 years, creating the 100-Year Lifestyle, teaching people all over the world about the opportunity and the possibility to live and function at 100% for 100 years, and seeing so many people suffer along the way because of misinformation and disinformation and censorship that was being driven by the media and the pharmaceutical industry. And me, one of those people being censored, having so many videos and audios removed for telling the truth and speaking the truth, but that it was different than what the big pharma control freaks have been trying to get through to all the population. And they have actually, they've gotten through to so many people, unfortunately, and harmed so many people with the vaccine schedule that was out of control, never tested, never for safety or efficacy. It's just an amazing time that we are here when Kennedy being confirmed as the department head for the Health and Human Services. So exciting. And I remember having the Children's Health Defense bus in front of our office last year when we had a bunch of people, vaccine injured people, talking about childhood vaccines, COVID vaccines that were truly harming kids, leading to autism, leading to autism spectrum disorders, leading to allergies of all kinds, and no recourse for anybody. Literally, it was mandate and abandon, mandate and abandon. You're on your own. And so many close friends that we have built along the way, whose children have some healthy children and some that were literally harmed. Couldn't speak, can't talk, can't hear, can't interpret, can't communicate, very stressed out, very frustrated. And thankfully, because we are the United States of America and we are in the world, we are filled with innovative people. We have been great at creating alternative support systems to help some of these people. But from a government perspective, mandating and abandoning all of these people, and then seeing older people, knowing so many older people that were harmed with bad ideas, bad protocols that were just not conducive to true healing and true health. And now here we are, an opportunity for people like me that have been a force for me 4 decades of helping people in our practice, Plasker Family and Performance Chiropractic, our 100-Year Lifestyle network of doctors around the country and some around the world, growing network that have been speaking this truth and leading this movement. We are not bandwagon jumpers. We are bandwagon creators, and we are experts. And so look us up, look up a doctor in your area. If you don't know one and you want us to help find somebody for you that can help you, we are happy to do that. We want everybody functioning at their highest level for a lifetime. That's really what it's all about. And so with decades of experience, I'll never forget, actually, when I became a chiropractor, I wanted to just help football players. I got injured playing football. I hurt my back severely, went to the hospital. They took x-rays. I had a compression fracture at one of my vertebrae. It wasn't in danger of paralyzing me. So I went the next day, I saw a chiropractor. I said to my mother, I said, because the doctor in the hospital said, don't play for 30 days, take these drugs. And I was like, take these drugs, don't play. What I heard the doctor say was drugs equal don't play. I was an afro-headed 15-year-old dude. You couldn't penetrate my afro with don't play. I wanted to play. And so I said to my mom, I said, Mom, listen, I'm playing no matter what. So listen, we got to find an answer. The next day I went to my chiropractor, Ernie Landy, Spring Valley, New York. He adjusted me. Literally, I played that afternoon without any pain and decided at the age of 15 that I wanted to be a chiropractor. This was my calling. But what was interesting was, and this is very relevant to what's going on with Kennedy today, so hang with me for just a minute. That football injury, I went down to Life College, Life Chiropractic College, now Life University in Marietta, Georgia, and I said I wanted to be a chiropractor because I wanted to help football players. But then when I got here, think about the time. This is very interesting. The history is very interesting. When I talk to prospective students and I talk to leaders in healthcare and I talk to new healthcare providers, chiropractors all over the country and all over the world, I tell this story because I think it's very relevant. I wanted to just help football players. And when I got here in 1982, 1983, graduated in 1985, the times were very crazy, trying times where parents were screaming and yelling in the street because the vaccine schedule had exploded in 1986 after the act was passed in 1986. They wanted to pass this act of mandating these 72 vaccines or growing numbers of vaccines when all these kids were being harmed by the vaccines that were on the schedule, 6 to 10 vaccines that were on the schedule. And these parents were furious. It's like, hey, I did what the doctor told me to do. I did what the CDC told me to do. I did what my healthcare provider told me to do. I did what the media told me to do. And now my kid can't talk. They can't function properly. They can't sleep. They have tics. They have allergies, all these severe things that they were getting, some of them being killed, some of them sudden infant death syndrome happening within a very short period after a vaccine. And so I was hearing about all of these and it really shook me. Honestly, it shook me because I was a young kid. I was 21 years old and I'm thinking, man, I just came down here. I just want to help football players. I don't want to necessarily get in the middle of all this. But then I started to think about it and I started to see the passion in the eyes of these parents. And they were furious that they did what the doctor told them to do and they were harmed, and then nobody would help them. They were vilified. They were saying, oh, it's your fault as a parent. And they were being blamed. They were gaslighted like crazy. And it was a terrible time. And so they passed this act in 1986. The schedule exploded. And just, we all know what happened there, just out of control sickness in this country. We have the sickest country in the world because of our vaccine schedule and so many of the other medications that are out there. And we were told that they were safe and effective. They were tested for safety and effectiveness, and they were in fact not. And so what's important here is now here we are fighting for my decades in practice, fighting for people to hear us. You know, I remember as a young kid talking about these, I got in my practice and it's like, oh, you're just a young Afro-headed chiropractor. You don't know what you're talking about. And we were right all along. We were decades of right. And we didn't want to be right. Come on, we just wanted to help people. So many of my colleagues, compassionate, loving, serving, just wanted to help people, to help kids, to help parents, to understand that they have choices and to trust the body. And this was a lie and we were being deceived and we knew it all along. And people say, how do you know, Dr. Plasker? And I go back even further in our history when we had to file, the chiropractic industry had to file a lawsuit against the AMA in the early 60s for their slander against the chiropractic industry. And it took 14 years for that lawsuit to settle all the way to the Supreme Court. And we won that lawsuit against the AMA and other medical organizations. And they were committed of slander and targeting the chiropractors with misinformation and disinformation. But what's crazy is that even today, those billions of dollars worth of propaganda still hold true in the mind of the consumer, that there's, that chiropractors are not real doctors and they're not, they're quacks and all this crap and baloney, when the reality of it is we have been the leaders of these truths about health for a long time. And now here we are with Kennedy being confirmed. There's so much validation for those of us that supported him and supported so many others like him. Like, I'll give you an example. Early on in my career, they're still active today. NVIC, National Vaccine Information Center, Barbara Loe Fisher, speaking out, providing truth, research, information that everybody needed to understand. And then that act passed and I got into my practice and I'll never forget my first autistic patient that I took care of. He was an older kid. He was like 16 years old, but he was a 220 pound or 240 pounds, 6'5" autistic kid that got injured from a vaccine when he was 6 years old and he only weighed like 60 pounds. And now he's 260 pounds. And he had so many severe tics that he would move back and forth and get, knock around. His parents, his mother just kept getting knocked over, and the dad got knocked over so many times from this super big kid who was dysfunctional in so many ways. And I was heartbroken for that family, honestly, and I wanted to help more of those people. So I started reaching out very early in my practice, the same way that we do now in our practice. We started doing programs called Raising Super Healthy Families or Raising Healthy Drug-Free Families. We did a human potential program. We did a traumatic birth syndrome program to educate people. We opened a second office, grew like crazy, helped more and more people. And then we started training chiropractors and training doctors through our company, The Family Practice, and the 100-Year Lifestyle Model. And just ever since, it's just been a fantastic ride, but constantly fighting, swimming upstream, because we were being censored by the lies and the propaganda of the drug companies and the pharmaceutical industries who own the media, every media, the social media, the Google media, the traditional media, buying the doctors, et cetera. And so, I think about it today, here we are in the middle of a paradigm shift. And this paradigm shift could be the most important time in our recent history when it comes to healthcare. We recently wrote an article, and I want you to, if you haven't read it, I want you to go get it. It's really, really good. It's called From Flexner to Kennedy. It's free to you. You go to 100yearlifestyle.com. You go to our website, download it, look at it. You don't even have to download it. You can read it online if you want to. And it's truly fantastic. It's called From Flexner to Kennedy, Here's to the Next 100 Years, where we talk about this history. And we talk about how we got here and the different paradigm shifts of healthcare. And it's really quite interesting. In my 40 years, there have been, in my opinion, 3 significant paradigm shifts. The first one in my lifetime was in 1986, when the liability was removed from the drug companies and the vaccine schedule through this 1986 act that was passed by Congress. Because of that, it exploded. The vaccine schedule exploded to 72 vaccines by the age of 6, causing tremendous harm. And I love how Kennedy says, I don't love the damage that was caused, but I really love how he says this. And it's a wake-up call for people when people say, well, Kennedy, you're anti-vax. And he said, wait a second. When I wanted to remove the mercury from the Hudson River because it was killing all the fish, and I was celebrated for those actions. Wow, Kennedy's taken the mercury out of the river, and it's going to bring the fish back. It's going to help the fish. Nobody ever called me anti-fish when I'm trying to get these vaccines to be safe and tested and get the mercury and the aluminum, which we know is brain damage causing. We all know that by now. If you don't know that, you've been hiding under a rock and you don't want to know it. But he said, you know what? Nobody ever called me anti-fish. I just want to make these vaccines. I want to see them get tested. I want to see that they're safe and effective when they have never been tested for safety and effectiveness. And so I love that when he says, nobody ever called me anti-fish. It's just a great line. And so what's important here for you to understand, that was the first paradigm shift that happened because they were scot-free. They could, with no marketing dollars needing to be spent, no research and development, it was mandated by the government. And so they had literally the profits, billions and billions and billions of profits, causing billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of harm with no evidence of safety or effectiveness. And now here we are getting ready to see the undoing of all this mess and fiasco that has happened because of this act that was passed. That was the first paradigm shift. The second paradigm shift, in my opinion, was in the late 90s, what was called the wellness revolution. And there was a book written by Paul Zane Pilzer called The Wellness Revolution, The Next $1 Trillion. The next $1 trillion industry was the wellness industry, which, because what we were seeing is, because of the act being passed and because of all of the harm that was being caused and the propaganda against the holistic minded people like the chiropractors and the nutritionists and the acupuncturists and the massage therapists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because we saw this, all of the harm being done, more and more people were seeking out people like chiropractors because they were actually helping people, and they had a different philosophy. They had a different vision. They understood the body's ability to heal itself and function at a very high level as long as there was no interference, correcting subluxations, balancing out the spine, correcting the nervous system, organizing the body, helping people organize their body for optimum function. So exciting that we had the opportunity to do that. And the wellness revolution happened because of people like us in our industry and the other industries that thought like us, and all of the harm that was being caused in the world. But we never had leadership in a very high level in Congress or the presidency. We never had any of that. It was all bought by the drug companies, owning the politicians, owning the FDA, the CDC, the Department of Health and Human Services, the NIH, et cetera. And so that second paradigm shift was this wellness revolution. That book explained it all. You can go back and read it. You can go back and get it. It was fantastic. So that was great. The problem was, because we didn't have anybody at the top, there was nobody at the top in leadership. It was a grassroots movement, which was fantastic. But the propaganda continued, and it continued severely, and the harm continued severely. And that the wellness revolution kind of got hijacked by the drug companies again, and the vaccine schedule, as they began to call it wellness care, childhood wellness care. You had to vaccinate your child to have wellness care. And what we learned from that is that, you know what, listen, we need higher up. We need a brand that stands out in the crowd and stands for holistic health and human potential and life expectancy potential and longevity potential, et cetera, healthy longevity potential. And the 100-Year Lifestyle was born, came out, became an international bestseller in 2007. And we've been training doctors ever since. And we are now certifying doctors, which is very exciting as well. So what's really cool is that was the next paradigm shift. And now that wellness paradigm shift has transformed itself now into this new Maha revolution. And I call it, it's the healthy longevity revolution, because we are seeing governments right now and organizations everywhere, from AARP to governments around the world, organizing around healthy longevity. Why? Because we're seeing assisted living centers popping up on every single corner in every community, with people that did not know they were going to live this long, so they didn't know how to take care of themselves to ensure quality of life as they age. And so we are learning now that that is not the way that it's supposed to be, because it's that way in the United States. It's really not that way in most other countries, where people are working in the fields and continuing working. They're not retiring. They're not putting their wisdom on a shelf. They're having their best years and decades of life in their 70s and even into their 80s and beyond sometimes. And so we want that for you. And so this healthy longevity revolution is this paradigm, this new paradigm that is a very exciting paradigm to be a part of. And I find it interesting because I've studied paradigms, and I don't know if I created this myself or read it somewhere, but there are three phases of a paradigm shift. And in my words, these three phases of a paradigm shift are: number one, knock them on the head. Because you're going, well, here's the three phases. The first one is knock them on the head. You got to like really go crazy to get people's attention. Number two, lead, get your share. So once you've knocked them on the head, you got to show that you know what you're talking about. You got to lead with education, education, education. And as a leader, to be able to get your share of influence over people, the communities that you're a part of, to understand that the paradigm shift has happened and how they could benefit from it. Then number three, the third phase is trusting brands. And we're in that phase right now. And the 100-Year Lifestyle, we're excited to say, is one of the longest living brands in the longevity space. We are a trusting brand and have been a trusting brand since literally 2006, 2007, almost 20 years. We have never wavered from these ideas. And so, you know, why knock them on the head in the beginning? Because you're going against the grain. You're going against the grain, literally. You have this force of movement going in the complete opposite direction. Everybody needs drugs, 20 medications by the time you're 80. Crazy information. We're seeing that now, that, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. But you would think that people would listen right away. They didn't. No, they were like, no, we've been told this. Our brains have been bought. So we have to take these drugs. Our doctor said we have to take these drugs. Well, do they know that there are side effects to these drugs, and that nobody's ever tested the side effects of the 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 medications that you're taking all at the same time? No wonder we have a Alzheimer's crisis and a dementia crisis and a heart disease crisis that is not going away. It's continuing to get worse, even though we've spent hundreds of billions of dollars on research on heart disease, cancer, diabetes. All of these things continue to get worse, even though we're spending a fortune on them. Why? Because the paradigm is going in the wrong direction. We've had to say, no, knock them on the head to get their attention. And then in the last few years, we've been leading. We have been leading. Lots of others have been starting to lead. It's fantastic to have the support. And now here we are trusting brands. The 100-Year Lifestyle being, in my opinion, one of the most trusting brands out there in the market today as it relates to healthy longevity. And we're excited because we are getting on board and being supportive of helping really great healthy products and services and food and all different types of categories and villas and travel and all that, helping them get a place if they're approved by us, certified by us, if they've lived up to our standards, getting them to stand out in the longevity space, the healthy longevity space, because we are aligning with them from a 100-year lifestyle perspective. It's a very, very, very exciting time. And what's cool, being so deeply rooted in branding and education and the resources, our content has been fantastic. Our distribution of content has been fantastic, and that continues to grow. And now here we are with literally no end in sight. We are doing more now than we've ever done creatively. We have a certification program, like I mentioned, for doctors. We have a new healthy longevity program where it's on 100yearlifestyle.com. You can get it for yourself if you want to transform your life and adopt these principles. If you want to do it together with yourself and your family, your friends, your coworkers, you can do that. We have companies and organizations that are doing that. We also have a new junior high and high school curriculum so that kids can learn early on to trust their body's innate intelligence. They will understand the interference principle, how you have the ability to function as long as there's no interference, removing the interference as a way of life, keeping it out of your life for the rest of your life. And even for companies and organizations, we have revenue sharing opportunities, new posters, etc. It is truly an amazing time. We have speaker training seminars, finding your voice. You know, when I spoke in front of the CDC twice during COVID, changed my life. Why? Because I'll never forget, Lisa was like, Eric, are you sure you really want to do this? And I said, yes, I have to do this. I have to speak. I have to have my voice be heard. And I did, and it was really, really well received. And the biggest thing for me, because we were worried for my life, honestly, there was a lot of craziness. It was, again, during COVID, and you never knew what was going to happen. People are driving by, honking the horn, screaming nasty names at us, etc. But you know what? We didn't care. We knew we were doing the right thing. We were right. We're still right. We didn't want to be right. We just wanted to save lives. We didn't do it to be right. Of course, we knew we were right. We wanted to be right. We just wanted to save lives. And so here we are now. We understand the value, the importance of being able to have a voice, to speak up and lead, to talk to your family, to talk to your friends, to talk to your children, your grandchildren about this time in history. And so our speaker training that we call Speak Up and Lead, we've opened it up to the public. We have a date coming up in, I want to say in March. Maybe we'll see you there. It's a small group, Find Your Voice speaker training. We'd love to see you there. We have another training for chiropractors coming up, healthy longevity and chiropractic from birth to 100 years and beyond. We have great content that we're putting out on our podcast on 100yearlifestyle.com to educate you, your family, your loved ones. Because listen, you got to know how to take advantage of this time. Kennedy has got a big fight ahead of him. We're on his side. You should be on his side, in my opinion, if you want your body, your health, your vitality to be with you throughout your entire lifetime. If you want true overhaul, you don't want pharma running your show with their trillions of dollars worth of profits while they destroy humanity and create dependence on drugs for the rest of people's lives. No, you have the opportunity to live and function at 100% for 100 years and beyond. That's the 100-year lifestyle way. So we used to talk about early on, we would talk about from womb to tomb, we want you healthy, or from cradle to grave, we want you healthy. No, now it's literally 100% for 100 years. That is the 100-year lifestyle way. Every single decade of life matters. What you do for your unborn baby in the womb is important for their health over time, throughout their entire lifetime. We know people that have had injuries, traumas, chemical traumas, during the birth process, drug reactions while they were in the womb, and they have become dysfunctional in many ways throughout their lifetime, harmed throughout their lifetime because of what happened in the womb. We know the first decade of life, the birth process, learning to walk as a child from a chiropractic perspective, the vaccine schedule that that won't be anymore, hopefully, because of the requirement of safety and effectiveness, true non-biased safety and effectiveness. That first decade of life, a growth spurt, watching kids grow, a lot on the playground, falling, youth sports, very competitive at a very young age. These things can affect the spine, they can affect the nervous system, lead to subluxations, lead to injuries that can cause all kinds of problems to the organs, the systems, as well as the muscles and the ligaments. That's the first decade. The second decade, puberty, you need healthy nerve supply, you need healthy function through every phase of life. You don't need to just manipulate the body with medicine, drugs, hormones, and things like that can cause all kinds of problems later in life. The 20s, the 30s, the 40s, literally every decade of life, it is indisputable that a healthy spine and nervous system, healthy neurology, healthy hormone balance, healthy everything is necessary through every phase of life for you to live and function, as we say, 100% for 100 years and beyond. Yes, we get people in their 70s and 80s that come to see us, even in their 90s, and you've heard the story of Max, the 100-year-old man that changed my life. Well, you think what's amazing was we look at x-rays of people in their 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and we'll see an area, for example, let's say the fifth and sixth cervical vertebra that has severe degeneration, looks like an 80-year-old person, 90-year-old person at that level. While at the same time, in the same person, we'll see a disc and bones at C2, C3, the upper cervical spine, with no degeneration at all. And you say, Dr. Plasker, how could it be? All these bones are the same age. This person is, the same age as these other people that are the same age. And, so why does this person have the degeneration, somebody else doesn't? Why is it at that level and not at other levels? And the answer is it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with alignment, balance, function, nerve supply. And we see it in the people that we take care of, in the young people, where they get their function back right away. They get normalcy. We see people, older people, they'll get function back. They'll get back to somewhat normal, although they're left with residual because of the chronicity of their situation. They've had it for decades. We're learning so much about healthy longevity that is contrary to what the current status quo is. That's why if you follow the 100-year lifestyle, you're going to learn, not just for you in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s, you're going to learn for your kids, your babies, kids, and families, how to function at 100% for 100 years and beyond. That is the 100-year lifestyle way. So listen, everybody, I'm so excited about this moment in history, really fired up for you, your family, if you take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. Dig into our Healthy Longevity program. Do it as a family. Go through the exercises as a family. Your spouse, you, significant other, your children, take it on. It will guide you through this journey of how to make better choices for yourself, your family, throughout your entire lifetime. So great to be with you on this important day in history. Love and appreciate you all so much. Thanks for following us. Make sure you like us, give us a 5, rate us, share us, our podcast, our articles and information. Listen, we are more than ever doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this important message where we've never had to change our story. Do you know how cool it is to be in this moment in history, to have stood for something and been ridiculed for so long, never having to change your story, and history catches up with you and you have been found to be right? Do you know how exciting that is? That is very exciting because of the difference that it's going to make for you and your family and your loved ones. So embrace it, fall in love with it, fall in love with your own ideal 100-year lifestyle. Thanks for being a part of our journey, everybody. Dr. Eric Plasker signing off.